Thank you for being an important part of the Learning Center team. My vision is that we will continue to provide students with exceptional instructional support on their way to becoming independent and lifelong learners. An essential part of our success is our strong internal culture, where all of us can feel supported, connected, and empowered to do our best. This video gives an overview of 4 key ideas that inform who we are and what we do. I'll speak of these key ideas as chapters in our story. The first chapter reminds us that students who come to us for help typically bring much more with them than merely the question or problem they're working on. Purely at the level of the question or problem, a facilitator, which is our preferred name for a tutor, is a technician, assisting the student in gaining knowledge by strengthening the skills that support it. But there's more going on here than what we might see or hear on the surface. Just as the majority of an iceberg's mass is hidden below, so much of what complicates a student's ability to learn is underneath the question or problem presented. The student may be anxious over the risk of failing an assignment or test. She might come with frustration over the difficulty she's having with the material. Or he could be on the verge of giving up out of discouragement. Our facilitators are able to detect these 3 common moods, anxiety, frustration, and discouragement, that can interfere with the student's ability to learn. In this way, a facilitator is not only a technician, but a kind of therapist as well. Although we are not here as personal counselors, and our attention stays focused on the presented question or problem, making a personal connection with students and being aware of what challenges to learning they carry with them is an important part of the support we offer. For a facilitator to be most effective, he or she needs to remain calm, centered, and resourceful. A student's anxiety, frustration, or discouragement can easily leak over to the facilitator and interfere with his or her ability to remain focused and help the student through the learning process. So, that's Chapter 1. We'll call it the iceberg lesson. Chapter 2 is about what supports critical thinking, that all-important skill set that instructors teach and test for in students. Such critical thinking skills as analysis, synthesis, abstraction, concretion, deduction, induction, inference, and prediction are rightly considered the pinnacle of higher learning. These skills support mastery in every course, subject, and discipline. But here's the problem. Schools are teaching and assessing critical thinking without giving attention to the other cognitive skills that support it. We won't dig very deeply into them here, but these other skills can be summarized as an ability to form concepts, to hold and manipulate information in working memory, to maintain mental focus, and to screen out or inhibit impulses coming in from the environment and up from the body. When these supporting skills are underdeveloped, critical thinking is compromised. Finally, we understand that all of these skills are energized by a healthy body and brain. After all, the brain is the organ primarily involved in learning, and if it's not optimized with good nutrition, adequate rest, regular aerobic activity, and a meditation practice, well, very little of that important higher learning can take place. As in the case of establishing a positive interpersonal connection by listening like a therapist, our facilitators can help students considerably by making simple observations on the importance of self-care. Bodies and brains that are tired, hungry, stressed out, or in pain just cannot learn as well, and we want our students to optimize their capacity for success. That's Chapter 2, Secrets to Peak Performance. Chapter 3 is called The Learning Ladder. This is our opportunity to make an important distinction in what our facilitators do with students. Our goal in every instance is for the student to have the requisite knowledge and skills for success on an assignment, in a course, for a degree, or in a profession. The distinction here is between knowledge and skills. Someone who helps a student by teaching the content of what the student needs to know is called an instructor. Traditionally, there have been 2 types of instructors: primary instructors in the classroom and supplemental instructors both inside and outside the classroom. Primary and supplemental instructors teach course content and track with a course curriculum. But that's not what we do in the Learning Center. Our service to students is on the side of skills, the practices, techniques, methods, and strategies that enable them to acquire what they need to know. Skills and the knowledge they support work together to elevate learning so that the student can construct meaning, another concept we can't go into here, only to say that it figures prominently in learning theory. By using the image of a ladder, we can show how proficiency in the skills of learning promotes greater understanding and knowledge. Let's talk about the three main skill sets that students need. Acquisition skills help students identify and acquire what they need to know. The usual sources of what students need to know are the classroom or online instructor and any print, digital, and video resources used in the course. Obviously, if they don't go to class or read the textbook, students will find it difficult, if not impossible, to acquire what they need to know. Assimilation skills help students make connections between new information and what they already know or think they know. This phase in the process of learning is so important, and yet many students do not give it the time, attention, and effort it involves. What often happens instead is that students acquire the information by going to class, taking notes, and reading the textbook, but only long enough to pass a test. After that, it is forgotten. A student is said to truly understand what they are learning when they can apply it, put it to use, make it work, and construct meaning of it. Application is the highest skill set in successful learning. It goes beyond merely acquiring and assimilating what is being learned to discovering and confirming why it matters. So, while primary and supplemental instruction are focused on what needs to be learned, instructional support gives attention to the skills that make learning happen. The Learning Center and its facilitators are dedicated to helping students learn how rather than what, how to acquire, assimilate, and apply new knowledge. And of course, recalling from our last chapter on secrets to peak performance, before any brain can successfully learn, it needs to be ready to learn. A student's health, attitude, and focus will either enhance or compromise success in learning. The Learning Center is more than a location of instructional support services at Richland College. We are a team, nearly 100 strong, of full-time coordinators and part-time facilitators. I am committed to working together with you in creating a healthy culture where all of us can thrive. This final chapter is about the core values of what I call a provident organization. As a provident organization, the Learning Center provides a safe and supportive environment where students and team members can feel grounded, centered, connected, and included in something purposeful, relevant, and worthwhile. To feel grounded is to feel that you belong and can be 100% present to what's going on. When you're centered, you can maintain your balance and stay calm. When you are connected to others in positive ways, the important work of collaboration can be accomplished. And when you feel included in something purposeful, relevant, and worthwhile, everything you do carries value. As a provident organization, the Learning Center provides a safe and supportive environment where team members can take creative and responsible risks. Without pushing on the threshold of what's possible, we can easily fall asleep inside our routines and become irrelevant. Let's take a quick tour through the 5 core values of our provident organization. Respect means that we honor everyone as a human being, not merely as an employee or a student with a problem. This core value places clear limits against any behavior on our part that might dehumanize, humiliate, or dismiss another person. Our next core value is kindness, which turns respect into the positive energy of consideration, courtesy, and care. Third is patience, meaning that we take the necessary time to help students become independent and lifelong learners. Each student is on his or her own learning curve with their learning goals, and we stay with them all the way to success. Encouragement, our 4th core value, is literally about strengthening the heart of students who often struggle to learn. Sometimes a simple word of encouragement can be just the thing that strengthens a student's self-confidence and motivation. And frequently, they will fail to understand, get the correct answer, or solve the problem. Forgiveness is the core value that determines not to label or define students by their last failure. We remind them that failure is really about successfully getting an outcome they don't want. If they can analyze what they did to get the wrong answer, it becomes simply a matter of changing the recipe and trying again. In other words, forgiveness opens the door for encouragement, and in this way all 5 core values reinforce each other. My vision for the Learning Center is this: as I make these my core values, and as you make them your core values, they will become our shared values and eventually the core values of our entire team. I invite you to join me in making this our reality. Thanks again for being part of the team.